Good morning. Welcome to the 15th day of November 2016. This is the Good Life meditation for this day. This is an activity that I perform, wow, I can't see, each and every day in the morning to remind myself of my objectives and to outline and tend to my principles. It's an important part, two pieces there. One is to enumerate them, but also to perform upkeep, make sure that the principles are in order, and find fault wherever it may be, and correct that, and to add or reduce as necessary. It's an ongoing iterative process. Okay, the first part, the affirmation of human and civil rights. I don't want to gain myself or participate in the precipitation of societal gain at the undue expense of individuals or subgroups. So it's important that we work together as a society to improve social welfare and the lives of individuals, but that we have to respect the rights that are afforded those individuals and also the smaller groups in the society along the way. These are distinct from privileges, which can indeed be revoked if certain conditions are not upheld. For example, the privilege to have a driver's license, or the privilege to own property, the privilege to well, boy, I was about to say the privilege to marry, but wouldn't that be a controversial one? Is marriage more of a right or a privilege? I guess it would depend. It has certain, parameters around it. We don't allow children to marry. We don't allow people to marry their farm animals. But we do allow, at least currently, people to marry people of the same sex, which until recently that wasn't allowed. Is that a right or a privilege? I guess it's a right with restrictions. It's a curious animal there, huh? I'm going to need to think some more on that. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to elicit those thoughts so that I can come to a better understanding of the condition of things. I think that's something I'll probably try to do in these meditations, is instead of just reciting the same old lines, try to mix it up with by interjecting examples and new examples from right out of the blue that challenge me to apply my ideas and not just hold them. So the second part is the recitation of my three objectives. The first of these is the objective to develop good, sound principles. These are the 9 that I'll talk about in just a moment. And I do that by doing this exercise every day. Pardon me. This very activity is the process, and I record it and upload it even because it causes me to do a better job. 2, the second objective is the cultivation of good emotional reactions, becoming more of a master of my feelings, and more so is master of the control of my feelings. My feelings are what they are. There's not a lot I can do necessarily to impact that, although some intellectual rigor and preparation can indeed mitigate the intensity of emotional reactions. I've really noticed that. But mostly it's about standing on top of them, being able to put a lid on, not a lid, the imagery isn't working. It's not a lid on the emotions themselves, it's controlling my responses to them. So not letting it get away. For example, in a meeting yesterday, I could feel the anxiety in the room rising as, I won't go into details. I have to pick my words carefully. I don't want to share my work here. It's not an appropriate place. But we were in a situation where definitely there were some challenges going on. We were some senior people, and as the senior people's senior in terms of authority, not age, as their frustration began to rise, so did the frustration elsewhere. And I noticed it within myself and took rapid action to check that, reminding myself, I actually used these words, reminding myself, so this is what I've been training for, and holding my ground in terms of the emotions were there, but I didn't let them run away to the point that I would say anything untoward or out of turn or without careful deliberation. I kept my cool, is what it is all about, and I kept my composition, my equanimity, and it really worked. And that's what this is all about. This second objective is maintaining that balance, that not the emotional balance, but in maintaining a balance in our execution of life, a level head, keeping our heads while others lose it around us, as the saying goes. Well, who cares if others are losing around it? I can't control that. All I can control is, I do care, but all I can control is how I respond. But that's the objective right there. 3, the performance of good actions, doing good things in accordance with the principles of my life, and to help along the lines of the objectives that I'm after. And it can be anything at all, from holding the door open for somebody, taking the time to read materials when voting, to understand the issues and to make an informed decision, to picking up a piece of trash lying on the ground, to calling 911 when you see an obstacle on the freeway that might hurt somebody. We'll alert them to it. And just being an honest employee, really truly working the hours that you're allotted, with a deliberate manner, even though you may be given ample opportunity to goof off. All of these things and so much more contribute to doing good things. Now let's get on to the 9 principles. The first of these is the atomic principle, and this is simply more than anything else a reminder to myself that I and everything around me and everyone around me is truly just a momentary collection of particles that will quite soon enough be destroyed and distributed away to elsewhere, to take up new functions, performing new things, and to remember to not take these moments for granted, nor to expect longevity, good health, or a sound mind to last for any period at all. Now, 2, the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some nature by virtue of its composition. You put pieces together, and they have some, if not a function, at least a character about them. I like to use the analogy of stones and water because they're easy, but let me try to pick something else. The nature of friendship, for example. Friendship has the quality of being social, requires requiring communication of some sort, of providing support, comfort, fraternity, sorority, all those different words. It's an intangible element that is the result of chemical expressions in the minds of those who experience the friendship. Friendship cannot be, or does not have, there's nothing analogous to it in inanimate objects, although maybe the bonds of the atoms could be described, bonds that hold molecules together, hold atoms to create molecules, could be described perhaps as a type of friendship. Maybe that's a stretch, but you see what I mean. And friendship is perishable, won't be maintained if it can fall away if we don't maintain it. Definitely a failing of mine. I'm getting a coffee today because we ran out of coffee at home, And I definitely need my coffee to get the day started. So bear with me while I pull into Starbucks here real quick. That's the principle of nature. Get on to the social principles. I get social here.
Hi, what can I get started for you?
Good morning. Yes, could I get a venti-sized extra hot latte, please?
Hi, anything else for you today, sir?
That'll do it.
I will see you at the window, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, you got social right there, right? Social, it's good to be social. It's good to have that interpersonal stuff, but that's not particularly what this principle is about. The principle is a reminder to be social. Hi.
Good morning.
Hi there.
25, please.
Boy, it's not busy this morning. Did I just catch it at a good moment?
You actually did.
Wow. It's going to get picked up in about half an hour, right?
Yes, it is. Crazy.
Yeah.
Around this time we're usually busy, but a lot of people came a little earlier. And also because of the fog, I feel like people drive slower.
Yeah, it's strange. Do you get the same people all the time?
Yes. It's funny, sometimes they're running like extremely late, but
Yep.
they still stop to get coffee.
Yeah.
Like, I'm running late, and I was like,
Get one for the boss.
and they're like, I need more coffee. I need coffee though. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, gotta have it.
Yeah.
Performing social actions is a way of creating good in the world, and this speaks all the way back to my final virtue, my final principle, which is virtue. I define virtue as the performance of activities that contribute to the common good, that contribute to making things better in demonstrable, empirical ways. I'll get to that when I get to the point. And being social is the very best way to do that, or one of the best ways. Let's get on now to 5, which is I think 5. One. Hold on. Atomic, nature, social. 4. Temperance. Temperance is, and probably my favorite. This is the one that I use throughout the day most often. I really astonished at how much utility there is with this. Temperance is the execution of control over our appetites. Now, we typically think of temperance with regard to things like alcohol and smoking and sex and things like that, but you can also apply it to the controlled consumption of things like work or play, friendship, not being too clingy or needy, television watching. And how about emotions? Emotions rise up. It's something that you can consume, just like alcohol, and we can choose to nibble away at it, the way I like to describe it, rather than indulge ourselves heartily in wolfing it down. And when we do that, we do 2 things. 1, we preserve resources, we use less, and 2, we become stronger. We exercise, build muscles, some musculature, not here but here, of self-control. 5, principle of agency and indifference. Agency is the fact or artifact of life. Some might describe that agency refers to.
I'm sorry about that wait.
That's okay. Thanks a lot. You too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ooh, nice, very full one. I got lucky here. Agency is both the living things and their products of their life and their activities. So I would consider all my fellow you and me and anybody else as our agents. We're agents. Dogs and cats are agents. Fish and plants are agents. Bacteria are certainly agents. All of these things and the things that they produce. So this shirt, this sweater that I'm wearing is an artifact of agency. This car that I'm driving, the latte that I'm about to enjoy as soon as this video is done. All of these things. And there's something very the artifacts of agency are more precious and rarer than precious metals. There's in the universe, as far as we can tell right now, there's not a lot of agents out here. They all seem to be on this planet, and this water bottle is more precious than gold in terms of its distribution in the universe. If you subtract out all that, what you're left with is indifference. Indifference is what's left in the universe when you take out all the artifacts and the facts and artifacts of agency. And indifference is a here we go, getting on the freeway now. Indifference is something that's funny, even though it makes up most of the universe. We human beings rarely encounter it because we so sufficiently swamp ourselves and surround ourselves with the artifacts and the facts of agency. It's almost like living in a fishbowl of agency, where you imagine, even though your room in your house may be mostly not water, at least not the water and the air vapor. From the fish's perspective, it's water all around, right? That's the way we are in the universe. It's agency all around, though the fact that the universe is almost utterly devoid of it. So, as a result, it's rather frightful. And in fact, a lot of people can go their whole lives without really encountering much indifference. You really have to go to a very wild place, and you have to go to a very special wild place, like maybe the Antarctic tundra, or the Antarctic wastes, or the polar ice caps, or the deep sea, out on the deep sea, or maybe in a very secluded desert devoid of animal and plant life. Rich green forests don't work. That's full of agency there. But still, people can perceive the indifference out there, and you can readily appreciate it in places like I just mentioned. And so what we do is we ascribe agency where it doesn't belong. We proclaim the word and the presence of God or gods, and as a blanket application of agency everywhere. And we're at once comforted and also humbled. And it's a good place to be if you're the type of person that doesn't like being unsure and being uncertain of what really is going on, and you'd rather just have an answer, whether it be just convenient, regardless of its quality and truth, mostly for the comfort that it gives. Not unlike a security blanket. I know that's an offensive thing to say, but it is a lot like that. It is very much like that. Maybe better than a security blanket. Maybe it's more like putting a sweater on, like I did this morning, to let me adjust the air here, to warm my body from the chill outside. That's probably more like it. That's a better analogy, less likely to offend. So, agency and difference. Beware the one when it's, beware the first when it's a response to our fear of the second. Okay, next is the best seat in the house. The best seat in the house is my reminder to not, when I'm in a challenging circumstance, place, or frame of mind, my reminder to not want to be somewhere else or be someone else or be doing something else, but instead to not want to be someone else, and to not want to be doing something else, or not want to be somewhere else. Did I get those three? It's a double negative. Not want to want. Just got a message from it's awfully distracting. And basically, wherever I am is okay. And even though I'm progressing forward and working hard at getting to improving the lot in life for my family and myself and for society, I'll be fine with just where I am. Oh, and there goes the supermoon. Goodbye, supermoon. I'll never see you so big again. For I won't grab the camera like I did yesterday. In fact, I keep both hands on the wheel. An amazing thing. The best seat in the house is a very powerful position if I can keep it in mind. And the more I work on it, the better, the more present it remains in my head. It's fun when the things go bad, and like I'm standing in line at a long line at the supermarket, and I feel that frustration rising. I use temperance to control that, and I also use the best seat in the house to condition my mind to say, I'm fine just where I am. I don't want to be anywhere else than right here. This really does improve the quality of the mundane moments along the way, and causes me to long less for the peaks and lament less the valleys, and be just all right in that very, very warm, accepting way with just about any circumstance that I find myself in. Okay, the next one is reason. The next principle, the governing faculty, the way that we know what's true in the world. We have a capacity in our minds to make sense of things, to look at facts, to order them in ways that make sense, to give them to catalog facts and give them names and descriptions, and then to organize arguments based on those facts that speak to how the world works. We can then measure those arguments to see if they bear fruit over time and are reinforced by other arguments, which reinforce our ideas about the world and help us to get some idea about whether we're on the right track. We always hold such things tentatively, never ever calling anything as an outright certainty, albeit unless it's a mathematical proof, which probably is as close as we can get. Anyway, it's a long-winded way to simply say that we have no better way to understand the world than through logic, reason, and observation. And proclamations and dogmatic descriptions of truth, well, they may serve the purpose. They may unify. They may provide a form of law for us to abide. They don't do a good job of adjusting to the growing facts and our growing understanding of the universe. So I rely first and foremost on reason to govern my life. And next, virtue. Virtue is the purpose of life. It is the thing that I live for. And for me, I've defined virtue as the improvement of well-being. And I've already gone on about this a little bit earlier in the video, so I won't linger too long here. But improving well-being means making things better in an objective manner. For example, making sure that as many kids as possible, have a good breakfast before they start the day. That they sleep in a safe house. They have parents or guardians who love and protect them, and to offer them what they need for a good upbringing. Another objective measurement of truth is the good upkeep of this highway that I'm driving on. Efficient use of tax dollars to keep the road smooth with sufficient numbers of lanes, well marked between the lanes, good road signs, and a good highway patrol and road patrol to keep things safe and in working order. So virtue, therefore, is the purpose of my life: to live a virtuous life, to improve, to do things and perform works and make decisions that improve the welfare being, of course, the well-being of as many as possible, including myself and my family. Although in reverse order. Try to go for the bigger good first. I mean, of course, I got to take care of my immediate stuff, but after that, I'm after the larger aims. That's why I love my job so much. Even though I have a boring civil service job, I really do enjoy the fact that I get to work in the public sector. It's very important to me. And next, oh gosh, I can never remember this one. I always have to look it up. Fortunately, I wrote it down. It's new. I only added it recently. It's the willful time management. Willful time management is simply using my time, using my mind to plan out the day's use of time. I have 24 hours in this day, and I want to use them in the most effective manner possible. After all, the atomic principle reminds me that I'll soon be dissolved away. The principle of nature reminds me that it is within my nature to want to make good use of my time, to not waste it away. So the way that I do willful time management is that I do two things, and I'll do it right now. First is the today's thought plan, and then I'll follow that by today's action plan. The thought plan for today is to do four things. First, to collect my thoughts before breakfast, which I'm doing right now, actually after breakfast, before coffee. I should probably say it that way. Collect my thoughts before coffee. Two, to then compose my thoughts over lunch, which I spend my lunch break doing. I write the stuff down in the description section. Every day it's different. and every day it's the same. Just like every day, these videos are different and the same. And then 3, I record and upload those over after dinner, just in time to die before bedtime. So collect my thoughts before breakfast, compose them over lunch, compile and upload after dinner, and then die around 9 p.m. tonight. The action plan today is that I will, as soon as I'm done here, I'll stop this video, I'll turn the radio on, catch up on my podcasts, get to work, log in, do my email, plan out my day. I think I'll be working on mostly on the Windows 10 project. I'll probably also have some time for governance, SharePoint governance, and a few other things. And then maybe even some research today that I need to do. And then over lunch, I'll do my write-up of the stuff. And then on the drive home, I'll enjoy some relaxation on the way home. Just kind of listen to music, listen to radio, whatever. When I get home, I'll do my swim. Yesterday I did 70 laps. My goal tonight will be 50 laps. And then when I'm done with that, I'll have dinner with my wife and daughter. Enjoy catching up with them on the day's activities, take a shower, and enjoy maybe a little TV. I like that show, Highway Through Hell, you know, heavy wrecker towing up in Canada. I like that show. And then I'll hit to bed. I get to bed. Now finally, the Rotten Day forecast. This is an exercise that I do. It's the last part where I lower my expectations for the day. Because so often what catches us by surprise is when we have a high expectation of how things will lay out, and when things don't work out that way, and we find ourselves frustrated. It sounds a little provocative because I lead with 2 really provocative ones. The first is, today my daughter will die, and also my wife will die. Although I've got to admit that, and doing this for now a couple of weeks, saying this, it's lost all of its umph. It was really hard to say at first, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'm becoming more normalized to the very powerful and very real possibility that they may die, or maybe I'm just taking it in its stride that it's like a boy who cries wolf. Maybe a little bit of both, but I'm going to keep it up. Also, I'm going to meet people who are going to be very difficult to deal with. I'll be in some meetings. I know I'm going to be in 2 meetings today that are going to be a challenge, because I need to get some of the people that I'm working with to come through on a deliverable that they've been many weeks in putting off. And I need to find a way to do that diplomatically. Have some new people in the meeting that might be able to help me with that. But I'm going to expect that, and I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to push too hard. After all, in the end, it's their deliverable. And as a project manager, I'm simply responsible to hold them accountable to their deliverable. But they are the consequence of not making that deliverable is not mine to just out, to portion out. That's handled by their own management structure. So I have to keep that in mind. I'm also going to probably not feel so good after a while. I'll have some challenging moments of the day with some hours when I really would rather just go home and not work, but I'm going to continue fighting on through. I'll use temperance to make sure I stay on task and I keep on my work and don't goof off. Don't let myself slack off, not even for a moment. It's very important that I work very hard and very diligently throughout the day, every day. And that I will never retire. I will be working until the day that I die, even though I'm building up a retirement. It's just not in my plans. And that's a good thing and a challenging thing. And I'll lose my job, and I'll become poor again, and all the things that will attend after that. And here we are, just closing in on 30 minutes, and I think I'll wrap up. So there we go. There's the good life meditation for this day. Thank you, for anybody that happened to watch this. Appreciate it. I hope you have I truly, sincerely hope that you have a wonderful day and a very, very good life. Take care. Bye-bye.